Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Brandon over here at Vet Titans. I kind of feel okay, and I kind of don't. I had an earache yesterday morning when I woke up, and I ended up laying back down for a little bit trying to solve it, and it kind of went away. I haven't had an earache in like 20 years. Like, don't get me wrong. When I go kite surfing and hurricanes and shit, and you get water in your ear, and water sits in your ear or something, you wake up and you realize, oh shit, I got water in my ear. But usually if I sleep on it, I can get rid of it. I haven't been in any water, lately or anything like that. It's been real warm. Coughing shit up, so I'm just like, I'm fighting something. Also hurt my shoulder, but it's not bad, but definitely strained my shoulder, I should say. Sawing those pegs and hammering those pegs into place on the bed frame that I was building. So I'm like Randy Popes right now, building bed frames is treacherous, Randy. So anyway, just that's an inside joke about the 2019 zr1, how it messed up his shoulder, because just watch the other videos, you'll see what I mean. Anyway, okay, so this video, we're going to talk about the new engines that are coming. People keep asking me about it. I've explained it in previous videos. I'm going to kill the drama. I'm going to get to the point because it's a complex topic, and I don't want to put those of you to sleep who are not mechanically inclined people. The punchline is there are more than likely direct injectors, which are how you get the fuel into the cylinder. 2 per cylinder is what the future holds for automakers. Okay? And I'm going to explain the perks to why that allows them to create both higher compressions, which also allows them to get better fuel economy, because they're harnessing more of the explosion in the chamber, the combustion, kabam. When you have a higher compression, you get more force out of the compression. The higher the compression gives you more force per revolution. So what motivated me to make this is you would think other YouTubers would at least kind of look around and realize, oh, that Brandon guy, he's kind of technically minded. Like on a scale from 1 to 10, he's probably a 9. Maybe we should talk about what he says and his ideas, and since he does have some sort of insider information, maybe we should talk about it. I will also say the zr1x at the ring has its engine covered. You can't see its motor. That means the 2026 zr1s might have a different engine. They might be making more horsepower. It might be a surprise on the 2026s. Not saying it will be. Again, what I have a problem with Justin is he speaks in absolutes. One of the viewers on this channel said, dude, you're not going to believe this. Just the other day, he was saying how zr1e is confirmed and how the car will not be a zr1x. And then the dude has the audacity this morning to put up a post on Facebook and Instagram, zr1x confirmed, you saw it here first. It's like, it's insane. What we saw on Justin's channel first was LT2 with 2 little helpers. It's going to be the zr1. What we saw on Justin's channel first is that the what do you call it? zr1e. What else do we see? You get the idea. It's always bullshit, guys. And he doesn't own when he's wrong. Like, if I make a video and I contradict myself, I say it. I'm going to contradict myself and tell you that I no longer think that the z06x at the ring is necessarily absolutely a zr1. Maybe it is a z06x because maybe those pipes are hiding it or something, you know what I mean? Like, maybe they're cloaking the sound, so we don't know that it's actually a z06, when in reality it is. Since it has its engine cloaked, it too could have the new engine technology. Therefore, it could be the z06x. And they can have a rev limiter on it right now, a coded rev limiter, where they're just out there testing it at the lower revs first, dialing it in with the all-wheel drive system, and then eventually what they're going to do is they're going to take the revs on up, which introduces a whole ton more power. And when they introduce that whole ton more power with the higher revs, because they remove the rev limiter, then they go further to dial in. See, the Z06's power band is more difficult to match to electric front-wheel drive, because the electric front-wheel drive and the gasoline have to stay in sync. This is what my last video was about, was it would be to GM's advantage to give a mode for the highest advanced drivers who want to unlock and go into that crazy mode where they can have influence over the thrust of the front electric motors relative to the OEM program, okay? And I believe whoever does that will please people like Chris Harris and Randy Popes the most. And it will, if nothing else, even if Chris Harris and Randy Popes can't set a faster lap time with that car, they will want more time with the car, because it will be what? F-U-N, fun. To be able to adjust on the fly, moment to moment, millisecond to millisecond, what the flow is of, or what the power is of that electric motor in the front. It'll be fun. It's a new challenge, okay? Like when I first started kite surfing, it was so much fun just to go out on a sunny day, you know, go out there, the wind's blowing, beautiful. I don't go kite surfing now unless there's a fucking hurricane, basically. And when I first started, I vowed I would never, ever want to fucking kite surf in hurricanes because it's too hard. And that's the only time I go. This is the same concept. Once a person gets good enough at driving, they want a new challenge. And this is like a new challenge for them to master, and for people to master, to start playing with this thing and control the all-wheel drive. Again, they don't have to. It's a mode they go to. It's like a race 2. We'll call it race 3, why don't we? Because we need a new mode anyway. Okay. So, double direct injectors. I just saw a video from Racer X. It was like, he's talking about Hemis and just, oh my God. Really not good. Don't get me wrong, when you have double direct injectors, they're probably going to come in from both sides, so it's a Hemi concept, but it's a Hemi concept with double direct injectors. First, let's talk about what's the perk of a direct injector versus a port injector. A direct injector has the ability to bring the fuel in after the upstroke of the piston, after the heat. See, when you, Physics 101, and this is why people like Justin and Racer X, and it's in one ear and out the other with these guys. They don't understand this stuff. But I will say this, I think Justin's starting to realize I know what I'm talking about. I think before he was so dumb that he actually thought I was dumb. And it's like that Einstein quote, stupid people think smart people are crazy. Okay, Justin was below the bar far enough, and I'm not the only one who said this. There's been plenty of people who are like, the guy is not mechanically smart. Like, everybody just tells me, like, just leave the guy alone, he's not smart. It's like, no, guys, I'm not just going to leave him alone when he's the one on the fucking brag attack all the time about how he's first to do everything and has his fucking brainwashed group of citizens. There's a train taking off over there from 0 miles per hour. Interesting. You don't see that every day. Okay, so anyway, here. I'll go put my back to the train so you guys can watch a train take off at 0 miles per hour. That'll be fun, huh? As we do this video. Like this. There, train at 0 miles per hour. That is the locomotive right there. Okay, so anyway, we'll just talk like this while we're talking. Shut off the car, let you listen to the train. Okay, so double direct, okay, so a single direct injector, what the perk to it is, it puts the fuel into the chamber after the compression has already happened. Compression creates heat. So if you can bring the fuel in after the compression stroke, the fuel remains cold, okay? Water cools air versus, or excuse me, liquids cool air versus air cools liquids. Liquids cool air, they're like the bully in physics. They contain more atomic density, therefore what they say goes more so. So if you can bring the fuel in after the fact, you're cooling the air, plus you're keeping the fuel from getting heated up, and that prevents what's called detonation or pre-ignition. So when the upstroke's happening and you have port injection, if you run too high compressions, the fuel explodes, the combustion occurs as the cylinder's still on the uptick, and that's a fight against the cylinder, and that's what puts the dent in your cylinder. That's what detonation, aka knock, is. Pre-detonation, pre-ignition, detonation, pre-ignition, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so anyway, so that's the perk to direct injection. What is the downside to direct injection? Well, if you ever look at a photo of a direct injector, let me see if I can grab my other phone here and show you what a direct injector tip looks like while we're having this video here, watching the train take off. So I'm just going to go to Google, type in direct injector. Okay, images. So I'm looking. Okay, so in general, just before I find a close-up of it, there's a direct injector. Oops. So look at the little tip that's dark. That little tip that's dark, that's the nozzle. So I'm going to try to find a close-up of the nozzle real quick. It's a tiny little thing. We're going to find a photo of it. Here's basically how a direct injector looks with the cylinder or whatever. Hang on, why is it out of focus? Focus, bitch. Anyhow, it stays focused on my face. I gotta cover my face up. Long story short, that sorry about the blurry image. The direct injector is the thing that comes in from the side, out the driver's side window, that thing that's sideways, that's the direct injector, so you get the valves coming through the top. But what I'm trying to find is a photo. Here's one. We're zoomed way in to look at the tip of the direct injector, and you'll see a little hemisphere, and that little hemisphere nipple has 6 little holes in it. They atomize the fuel. The fuel has to go through those tiny little fucking holes. So if you know anything about your garden hose, when your garden hose has no nozzle on it, that's the most water that comes out of your garden hose. When you have no nozzle on it, it's just blah, and it's just coming out, and it's only spitting out like a foot away from the hose, and it's just smooth, laminar flow. That's the most volume of water you'll ever get out of your hose, because there's no resistance. Resistance creates pressure. Okay, I'm just talking physics 101 for everybody. So what the nozzle that you spray when you have your water fights when you're a kid, you have the nozzle that sprays, that is creating resistance against the water, and while the water shoots further, you're actually getting less water out. Okay? It's important to understand that. This is the exact same concept. While we are making it so that the fuel atomizes and vaporizes better, okay, so that it burns better, we're getting less fuel into the chamber per increment of time compared to a port injector. But we can run higher compression rates. So the higher compression rates are good because you can make more power, okay, more. So up until now, they've always done hybrid systems where they'll do, if they need more power than the direct injectors alone provide, they'll add port injection. That's what's on the C7 zr1, and that's what's on the Nissan motors, different motors. That's what's on, different Ford motors. That's what's on the C8 zr1. It's got port injection along with the direct injectors. But as I've been explaining for years, the next step is double direct injectors. And those of you who think that you're savvy, who are non-mechanically inclined, you'll say something like, well, why don't they just run a bigger direct injector? The more holes you put in a direct injector, the less resistance, and therefore the fuel doesn't vaporize. You need to have the restriction to create the vaporization. However, if you have a second set of direct injectors that have their own separate high-side fuel pump, okay? Or if you have dual high-side fuel pumps that are running, you can have both high-side fuel pumps connected to each direct injector, or you can have one high-side fuel pump run one set of 8 and the other high-side fuel pump run the other set of 8. The point is, you need 2 high-side fuel pumps, which is what GM has already tackled. That's what they did with the Gemini project. So that's step 1 to double direct injection, is you have to have dual high-side fuel pumps, okay? Another way that General Motors could make more power is dual low-side fuel pumps, and as I've told you guys, they're not going to do it. They're going to go to double direct injectors first before they go to 2 high-side fuel, or they're going to go to double direct injectors first before they go to 2 low-side fuel pumps. Because they don't want people to realize that 2 low-side fuel pumps makes the existing cars better, like the existing C8 Z06 and the existing C8 zr1. They don't want you to know that. Okay. With double direct injectors, what happens is one set of direct injectors is used for idle, and the other set of direct injectors comes on when you get closer to wide open throttle. So you're doubling your fuel capacity over the current C8 Z06, let's say. You're doubling your fuel delivery capabilities. You're maintaining the same idle, okay, the same idle efficiency. You can actually make idle efficiency even better. Idle and cruising efficiency can be made even better because you can create even more vaporization, because you can make the direct injectors smaller per se, smaller holes or less holes, so more vaporization. But then you have the second one there to fill in the gaps. So let's say you reduced everything by 25% in size. Okay, so it's only 75%, but 2 75s gives you 1.5 total. So you can still create 1.5 times the power, okay? You can up your power by 50%, but you're also 25% more efficient while you're driving around and cruising. You see what I'm saying? So that's more than likely what they're probably going to do, something along those lines. So what's the downfall of double direct injection? Well, it's expensive. Direct injectors aren't cheap. And the other thing is you're not cleaning the backside of the ports, whereas port injection and water meth injection cleans the backside of the ports. So double direct injection is not going to clean the backside of the ports. The other bad thing about double direct injection is now, let's talk about one of the good things of double direct injection. It's potentially possible that smart folks like Anderson Dick at Fuel Tech are going to be able to figure out how to spoof the computer on the wide open throttle direct injectors and show the computer what it thinks it needs to see. And meanwhile, he'll be able to put in more of a loosey-goosey high-side direct injector, the one that comes on during wide open throttle, to make even more fuel, okay, that the car doesn't know it's making. And then we spoof the mass airflow sensor and we don't let it know how much air is coming in. There's a few different ways to do that. I'm not going to get into all that right now. It's a whole separate video. But in essence, maybe we can get around the tunes on these cars better. On cars that can't be currently tuned, like the C8 Z06, okay? So hopefully that answers your questions about what the new engines are going to be. They're going to be double direct injection, guys. Will they use dual spark plugs? Maybe, sure. So it'd be a configuration of opposing direct injectors, one on each side, and then spark plugs coming in from the other 2 sides somehow, or you know, two spots. So it would be kind of like a square or a diamond, 4 points of contact. In the past, Hemis have been dual spark plugs oftentimes. So not dual direct injectors. So hopefully that answers that question. And could that be the big surprise of what's coming for the 2026 C8 zr1? And that's why they have to have the engine concealed, because it's a completely different motor. And same thing with that C8 Z06 with the X. Sure. And the C8 Z06 with the X, if they were to go to the better motor, it would have the ability to rev much higher. So, but any engine, when you can deliver more fuel, you can increase your revs, because the whole reason that what rev limits you currently on the C8 Z06 is the lack of the 2 in-tank fuel pumps or the lack of double direct injectors means that there becomes such a small window of time when you get to the higher RPMs. So like when you're running 8,000 RPM, you have half the time to get the fuel into the chamber as when you're running 4,000 RPM, okay? So one of the downfalls of really high RPM engines is the fueling. How the fuck do you get the fuel in there in time? Especially when you're not using port injection and instead you're running high compression direct injection. How the fuck do you get the fuel in time? So with the double direct injectors, if you can deliver twice as much fuel or 1.5 times as much fuel, let's just keep it simple and say 1.5 times as much fuel, which is where I think they're going to go. That means instead of going 8,000 RPM, you can take 50% of 8,000, which is 4,000, and add that on top of the 8,000. So now you're to 12,000 RPM. So GM can then out-rev the Lamborghini engine, the Lamborghini engine that currently runs to, what do you call it? Like 11,000 RPM or 10,000 RPM on the Huracan replacement. That car has, I forget if that car has double direct injectors or not. I think they're still keeping it secret what that car has, but I think it has double direct injectors. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it has. So anyway, that's the future, guys, is double direct injectors. That's all I can tell you. It's more fuel efficient. You can run higher RPM. You can make more power, and you know, so you get better. It's the best of all worlds. It allows the manufacturer to charge you more money for maintenance. You know, when injectors start going bad, there's more things to go wrong. It's more opportunity for them to run magic tricks. But in the end, the lack of 2 low-side fuel pumps is still the elephant in the room. When you have voltage swings and the voltage dips down, that's when you're going to run lean no matter how many direct injectors you have, because the feed pressure to the high-side pumps is reduced. And when the high-side pumps feed pressure from the low-side pump that's in the tank is reduced, the high-side pumps drop pressure by like hundreds, if not thousands of PSI in the blink of an eye. And therefore, they're not pumping as much flow of fuel in because the pressure just went down. The feed pressure of the high-side pumps to the injectors, the direct injectors, just fell down, okay? So you can't just magically make the high-side injectors produce pressure if they're not being fed pressure from the low-side pump, and that's what the voltage glitches do. By the way, a guy commented on one of my videos the other day. He says, "Hey, Brandon, I just had the rear axle off." I said, "Be thankful you weren't going full speed in a turn because you would have likely spun around and died." Okay, there's a possibility it could have happened. So pay close attention to rear axle off. Pay close attention to any U codes. U codes are when you have miscommunication in your modules, which means Global B just throws its hands up in the air and says, "I'm out." And that's when your transmission says, "I'm out." And that's when your EDIF goes to 0% lockout, and instead of 30% or 50%, wherever it would be when you're in a high-speed turn. And that's what can get you killed, because the car completely becomes Jekyll and Hyde on you and just spins around. It's also what creates detonation on your motors, pre-ignition, engine knock, whatever you want to call it, because you lose fuel pressure when the low-side fuel pump doesn't get enough voltage. Now it doesn't produce enough, thus the high-side pumps don't get enough, thus the injectors don't get enough pressure. It's a domino effect. And then you get a lean condition where you still have all the air coming in but not enough fuel, and detonation. So General Motors knows what they're doing. They've got a nice little magic trick invented where anytime there's a voltage swing in their car, they can kill transmissions and they can kill your engine. And all they got to do is just have a little bit of a virus bug in their infotainment system and to draw electricity from the system via Google, and poof, your car needs a new engine. So that's really where we're at, guys, in the world, whether you guys understand it or not. Okay. Sorry, Racer X, to call you out on your page. I put a little comment like, "This is a sad video. You have no clue what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah." It's just, you got guys who really aren't car guys, who just want to be car guys. They think cars are cool. That's great. But it's like a person who's like, F-16s are awesome, but they're not an F-16 mechanic. They don't actually know what the fuck's going on with F-16s. They're just like, "I want to make a video about F-16s because I think F-16s are awesome." There's a lot of those kind of YouTubers out there, and I'm sorry, but they're a dime a dozen. They're everywhere. See ya.